Tonight's class is our introductory class on Pinterest. We will have 2 total classes on Pinterest, with obviously the class after today being our final class, and we will get more into the automation side of Pinterest in the next class. But for today, I want to start out by showing you how to get started on Pinterest, to get your account set up. Then we're going to go through some initial settings setup that's important. And then we will dive into some introductory things as far as creating and following Pinterest boards, and also how to create pins manually on Pinterest. I'm going to go ahead and pull up Pinterest over here. Now, if you've already looked at the guidebook for this particular class, I detailed in that guidebook going through and signing up with Facebook. This makes the whole process pretty quick and easy because it will take your Facebook information and use it to set up your Pinterest account. You can always go back in and make changes to that later on. But for the live class today, I thought I would actually go through and do everything again from scratch and actually sign up using an email account, because there are some differences here that are worth pointing out. And I know a lot of you out there do not want to connect all of this stuff that you're doing with this new site up with your personal Facebook account. And unfortunately, when you are going through and signing up with Pinterest through your Facebook account here, that's exactly what's happening. You're connecting up with the personal end of your Facebook account. And there really doesn't seem to be an easy way to go about doing that and having it connected up with the business side of your Facebook account. The other big difference is that when you sign up with Facebook, you're getting a personal Pinterest account. And there actually is one other kind of account that you can create, and that's only available through the sign up with email option. So that is why I wanted to walk you through this particular process here. So on this page, this initial information that it is asking you for up top here, this allows you to create a personal Pinterest account. Now, there's really nothing wrong with using a personal account and having it connected up with your website. It's commonly done all over the place on Pinterest, but there are some things about the business account that may be beneficial to what you're trying to do here. So to actually create one of these business accounts on Pinterest, then all you have to do is look for this sentence right here. Are you a business? Click here. So if you click on that, it changes this page into a whole bunch of other information that it's asking you for instead. So to start out with, we have the business type. Now, you can kind of gauge what you're selecting here based on whatever it is that you're doing. To a certain extent, you could consider yourself a brand potentially, although you're obviously not going to be a brand in terms of the examples that it's giving here. You could also be considered potentially a retailer or an online marketplace, or you can even just go for other. Now, when you're putting in your contact information up here, this is obviously going to all be your personal information. And then down below, we have the actual information for our business profile. Now, the one big difference worth pointing out is that you get to specify a business name up here instead of using a first and a last name. I could obviously create an account and put Carbon as my first name and Fanatic as my second name, but going through and creating an account using this method, I could just simply put Carbon Fanatic here as my business name, or I could even change that to carbonfanatic.com if I want to. I'm actually just going to leave it as saying Carbon Fanatic here. Now down below, you have your username that you get to set up. This particular username is limited to 3 and up to 15 characters in length. So you may be able to set your username as your website name. There's a chance that it might not fit though. If your website name is anything over 15 characters long, you're going to be forced to come up with something else to use for your username. Now you can try to target keyword phrases with your username here. So for my site, for example, I could use Carbon Fiber Wrap and make that my username because this is a search engine keyword phrase that could potentially bring in traffic for me. Now down below, I have a place where I can put in a logo. I will get back to that in a little while because I want to visit the profile page from within my account so I can show you how to get to things there and make some adjustments, and there are some other settings that I would like to point out as well. So in the About section right here, this is going to be a description about your website and what you are doing essentially, what people can expect to see in terms of the content that you're going to be posting on your Pinterest account. And definitely try to put in some relevant keyword phrases here because your Pinterest profiles can get search engine rankings. So I could simply say here that carbonfanatic.com shares fan pictures of projects with carbon fiber vinyl. And the latest automotive news, just as an example. Now, you also want to make sure you're providing your website address down below because you can get traffic to your site through your Pinterest account. Now, once you are actually in Pinterest here, if you go through the normal sign up with Facebook option, you'll be taken through this kind of cheesy looking introductory process where they have a couple of steps for you to proceed through, and they basically just give you some general information about Pinterest before they actually let you in your account, and you're essentially faced with the page that you're seeing here. Now, just in case you have never gone through Pinterest at all, if this is a completely brand new service for you, I want to just point out a couple of the basics here. First of all, down below, this is the Pinterest newsfeed, which shows pins from other users that are out there. Now, a pin is each one of these boxes that you are seeing here is called a pin. And what's basically happening is you're pinning images from places out on the internet, potentially even from your own computer, or maybe even off of another person's Pinterest account. And you are pinning that image to what is called a Pinterest board. Now, a Pinterest board is used to organize all of these pins together. So what I like to try to do is create a variety of Pinterest boards that fit different topics that are relational to my niche. As an example, I could create a board titled Carbon Fiber Cars. I could then proceed to create other boards for other types of vehicles. So I could have carbon fiber motorcycles and carbon fiber trucks and so on and so forth. I could also have boards that are centered around different aspects relational to my niche. Sport cars, racing cars associated with carbon fiber vinyl. So I could really come up with easily 5, potentially even 10 different board categories that I could use for my site. And then for each of the posts that I end up creating on my site, these would get organized into the most relevant board that I have created. So to start out with, I want to find a pin that already exists on Pinterest, and I'm going to do something called a repin, where I'm just taking that pin and I'm pinning it on a board on my own account now. So to start with, I'm just going to search for something that is going to be relational. So I can go up here and type in carbon fiber vinyl, carbon fiber cars, anything of that nature should help me to find relevant topics. So as you can see on the page here, I have a variety of different things that match what my niche is about. And if I hover over any one of these pins, you can see a little pin it button show up in the corner. But I can also click on the image itself and make it larger if I would like to see it up close or potentially look at some of the details about it. So what I'm going to do is take this pin, and as I said, I'm going to repin it on a board on my account. So since I do not have a board already, this box right here is red and it says to create my first board. So if I click on it, there are some suggestions down below of topics that I could use for the board, but as I was talking to you about just a little while ago, I want to create board names that are highly relational to my niche and, if at all possible, names that will target specific keyword phrases, because this can help to attract search engine traffic for you. So I'm going to use carbon fiber cars as the name of this board. So I just type that in and click on Create. Now the only thing left to do here is the description. There is a description already built in which comes from the existing pin that I am now trying to repin. You can either leave the description as it is, or you can make your own adjustments to it. Well, if you look at this particular one, you can see that the pin that I'm repinning, it wasn't even an original pin from that particular account. This has actually already been repinned. And they put a little tag down on the bottom of it, repinned by, and then they put their website address. So I can actually change this into my own website address, although I don't want to use the www preferably, because that doesn't actually go to my site. So I can just clean this up a little bit if I would like to and include my own website name there now, because I have repinned it to my account. So I can just click on the pin button. So now that I have created my first pin and also my first board, I want to go back and show you where you can continue on and create more boards from. You could obviously go through and create them in that same manner when you are pinning things here, but ultimately you will eventually be creating these pins from your WordPress site when you are creating posts on the site. So you would obviously want to go through and create the various categories for your boards that you want to use for your future pins. So to do that, just look up here in the top right hand corner for either your name or your business name, whatever type of account you have created, and then simply click on this first link in the menu, your profile and pins. This particular page here has our boards on it. This is the board that I already created, carbon fiber cars, and the one pin that I have put in that particular board. Well, right here, I can click on Create a Board and go back through and add as many additional boards as I want to. So I would recommend to go through and create all the different boards that you want to create from the beginning. That way you don't have to worry about it in the future. They will all be available for you, so you can just simply pick and choose the boards that you want to pin things to. So for example, I could create another one for carbon fiber motorcycles. Now if you notice right here, I have some extra stuff that wasn't available when I first created my initial board for carbon fiber cars. I have a description and a category and these additional two options, add a map and keep it secret. Although this information was not available on that previous screen that I showed you to create that first board, this is important information that you want to make sure you provide for each of the boards that you're creating. And if you were only going through with that previous method and creating your boards that way, you could easily end up missing out on this important information here. Now, one particular reason why this is so important is because the description will end up on your board page, and this in turn can help to attract better search engine rankings for that particular board. So think about whatever keyword phrase you might be trying to target with the name of your board and simply elaborate on that. Use some other relational words and keyword phrases down below in the description to help boost the content that you have on this board page. So for example, for carbon fiber motorcycles here, I could simply say fan pics and project stories of bikes wrapped in carbon fiber vinyl. Now this is obviously a short description. You do want to provide as much of a description as you possibly can, because the more content you can put in there, the better off you're going to be. But I don't want to sit here and make you guys watch me write a whole paragraph, so I will go ahead and proceed on from here. Now going down to the category, this wants to know what kind of board this is. And then we have all of these different categories that are available for us. Now try to find something that is highly relational to whatever your niche is. And it's possible there could be a couple of them here that might fit what you are trying to do, but still just try to select the most relevant one. You may even want to try to create some boards in a few different categories if you find that potentially a couple of these categories could fit what you are doing. For my site, cars and motorcycles definitely seems to be the most relevant one. Now these additional two options here, add a map and keep it secret. In most cases for these Amazon sites that you're building, you're probably not going to need to use these settings. You'll just leave them set to no. If you were doing anything that was location-based, you could potentially turn on the map if you wanted to, have pictures from different locations and have them tagged in terms of where they came from. That's what this feature is for. Now the second feature here is so you can create private boards, but we obviously want these boards to be public, so we don't want to use that setting either. So now I'm just going to click on Create Board, and we will proceed from here. Now I'm in the actual board. This is the page that people would land on if they were to run across this board on Pinterest, or potentially if they were to land on this page from a search engine result. So you have your title and your description down below here, in addition to all the pins that you would end up putting on this board. So a combination of all of this stuff working together can create a halfway decent amount of content on this one page and give you a real possibility of getting extra traffic that way. Now, I want to go back a step here. I'm back on the board page now, and this is the new board that I just created, which doesn't have any pins, so there are not any pictures showing up here. But for this previous board that I created, if you created any boards using that original method where you're only specifying the name of the board, you want to make sure you revisit this page and click on this edit button. This will allow you to go back in and actually set the category for the board and write a description for the board. Now when you're editing a board, there's actually one additional setting that is available here that was not available on any of the previous pages. I don't quite know why Pinterest decided to design things this way. I guess for simplicity's sake, so you can move through creating your boards a lot quicker. But ultimately, you might not ever realize some of these features are there if you didn't go back through and try to edit one of your boards. That particular feature is who can add pins. You can actually allow other people to pin things on boards. So there could be some situations where maybe you had somebody doing some outsourcing work for you and you wanted them to be able to pin boards without giving them access to your account. Or maybe you find another relational site that's out there and has a presence on Pinterest, and maybe you want to set up a board where this other person can pin things on your board for you, and so you guys could kind of work together on a board, for example. You can do that by just simply adding that person in here. Now the next thing I would like to go on and show you guys involves some of the account settings. If you go up here again to this menu and click on the settings link, you will get to a long page here that has a variety of different settings available for you. Now there's also a menu over here on the left. And if you notice, the corresponding sections of settings here relate to one of these menu items on the side. So you can easily jump to a section of settings by clicking on the menu, or you can simply just scroll down the page. Now if you created a personal account and you needed to go back in and make some kind of adjustment to it, this is the page that you would need to go to do that. There are also some other settings here that I will typically adjust. This one, personalization, I usually just let it show me related pins based on my Pinterest activity and not based on other sites that I've visited. Pinterest doesn't really need to access that information, so I change that particular setting. Make sure your search privacy is set to no. This is really important. It should be set to no by default, but this is definitely not a setting that you want to change to yes, because you won't be able to get search engine traffic off of places like Google and Bing if you disable or turn on this setting, I should say. So going down to the profile right here, we have the business name and our username, which can be changed at any point in time. So if you created a personal account by signing up through Facebook, you can still revisit this profile here and change your name that it had set up for you. And it'll automatically create a username for you based on your Facebook username. You can adjust that as well. And then also provide the additional information like the About You description and your website. Now, even though it had already asked me for my website address previously, it did not have this one particular step, which is actually pretty important. If I'm not mistaken, it does still show my address here. Maybe it doesn't show it if I'm not logged into my account though, but I'm pretty sure that they require this verify website step to actually put your domain name there on your profile page, which is definitely something that we want to happen. So click on this Verify Website button once you have entered in your domain name. And this gives you two different options that you can use to verify that you own the domain name that you have punched in. You can either download the verification file and simply upload it to your website and then click on Complete Verification. Or if you do not either know how to go and upload a file to your site, or maybe you're in a situation where you don't have access to anything but WordPress itself, you can use this other step here, verify, with a meta tag. Just click on this link and it changes that button into a text box. You want to make sure you select everything that is in that box and then copy that information. Then what we can do is take that information back to our WordPress website. Go to Appearance and Weaver to Admin, and then go to Advanced Options and Head section. On this page, we are looking for the head section text box that is down here, and we simply want to paste that meta tag into this head section text box. Yes, it does appear that way, Peter, if you want to have more than one site set up with Pinterest. It looks like they basically want you to have a separate Pinterest account for each of those sites if you want to be listing multiple addresses at least on your profile page. So once you have this meta tag in, just click on Save Settings, and then you want to jump back over to Pinterest and click on Complete Verification. Now sometimes this has happened to me every time I've ever tried to verify a website. The first time I clicked it, it says, you know, whoops, we had trouble verifying your domain, and then I click it again and it says, whoops, domain already verified. So I'm not quite sure what the disconnect is there, but it verifies it just fine using that method. And if you actually refresh the settings page when you're done, you can see that it marks it as being verified now. So beyond these initial settings, there are some other settings that I want to point out to you here. The email notifications. For a lot of you, you may just simply want to turn off your email notifications so you're not getting a bunch of emails from Pinterest all the time because of all the activity that is being generated there. However, it's still important to look at these settings and read through each of them to figure out what situations cause Pinterest to generate one of these email notifications, because you can use this to your advantage. Just like with Twitter, where you can follow somebody and it'll send them an email notification, and then that person might end up following you back. The same thing can happen here on Pinterest. Somebody pins one of your pins, you'll get an email notification. Somebody likes one of your pins, you'll get an email notification. Somebody follows you or one of your boards, you might get an email notification. There are even other email notifications beyond that for more specific situations, but these will be some of the most common ones. By simply repinning a pin from another account, liking a pin from another account, following another account, or following another board. then you will generate these email notifications to get sent out to those other users. And they may in turn go and check out what you have to offer and maybe repin some of your stuff or follow one of your boards. So try to target the people that you would either like to be repinning your stuff, other sites that may be in the same niche as you, and then also target the people that are following those essentially competitors of yours. They can both be good targets to generate these email notifications for. Now moving on from there, we have social networks. You can connect up various social networks here with Pinterest, and this will actually generate a little icon on your profile page. Now, actually want to pull up another browser here for a second. This is a completely different account. This is actually an account I set up to create the ebook guide for this particular class. The reason why I wanted to pull up this account is because I already have a couple of things connected here that I wanted to point out to you. Connecting up Twitter, as you can see, this actually connects to my Twitter profile page. So people can easily jump from my page on Pinterest to my page on Twitter and potentially follow me over there as well. However, this Pinterest account, the one I created the other day, it is a personal account that I created with my Facebook account. So because of that, the Facebook link that is in here is a link to my personal page and not to my Facebook fan page. And there doesn't seem to be any possible way to actually change that. So with that said, connecting up with Facebook may not be the best thing, but you can at least connect up your Twitter account, and you could even connect up your Google Plus account potentially and generate some extra links on your profile page to those social networks. Now, the next thing that I would like to talk to you guys about is how to find additional Pinterest boards that you can follow. As I was mentioning to you earlier, following relational boards will generate these email notifications and can help you to get some people to follow your boards, potentially even attract some new loyal readers for your site, or just get people that will repin your content. So we're going to go up here to our menu again. And in the menu, we have an option for follow boards. Now, this is not the only way that you can find boards to follow. So I wanted to be sure to point that out, and I'm going to walk you through another way that you can find boards to follow here in just a few minutes. But I at least wanted to show you this and how it works, because with it being so easy to find up there in that menu, you're going to have other people out there on Pinterest that are using this method to find boards. So you want to try to make your boards visible in this section if at all possible. Now, if you look over here, there are some board categories that are available for us to pick from. but there's really not a ton listed here. They have the featured boards, but then beyond that, they only have 8 categories being shown. These are most likely going to be your most popular categories on all of Pinterest. So if you happen to have a site that fits into one of these categories, you may find that you get pretty good results off of Pinterest. Now, it's not to say that you can't get good results from other categories, but these are simply just the ones that the majority of people have an interest in on Pinterest. My wife uses Pinterest a lot, and I happen to know that she does a lot of home decor and crafts and art stuff on hers. So I kind of consider her to be the typical Pinterest user, and so even that seems to fit in with these being the most popular categories. But then beyond that, you do still have access to the other categories that were available for your selection when you're creating or editing your board. So I can still go in here and search for cars and motorcycle boards. Now, the biggest issue with using this section to try to find relational boards for you to follow is that there's no way to fine-tune these results from what you're already seeing here. You have the main category selection, but then beyond that, it's just nothing but boards that are listed. So sometimes you may be able to find relational boards that fit what you're trying to do, and other times you may not. They may simply be too general. Now, I'm obviously doing a carbon fiber site, which is highly relational to cars and pretty much any other kind of automobile. But just looking through this particular list here, I really don't see any boards at all that specifically have to do with carbon fiber. It doesn't mean that I can't follow anything, though. I can still follow some of these truck and motorcycle and car boards because they may potentially be interested in some of the posts that I'm creating if they are a slightly broader topic than me. So they could potentially be repinning my information, but ultimately these people are not going to be very likely to follow me in return. That would really be more of your potential readers of your site and not essentially other competitors that might want to repin your stuff. But still, you can try to find 5 here is what it recommends. You have these little checkboxes up top. And once you get those done, then they direct you back to your feed. And then your feed will be filled with posts from those different boards that you have followed. So if you go through and follow a bunch of relational boards, you can always have your news feed populated with relevant topics and information. And you can easily just scan through this list every day and find things to repin to your account, for example. Now, to go about finding boards that are highly relational to your actual niche, you want to be searching for those boards. Just like I was doing in the very beginning, come up here to the top and search for a relational keyword phrase. This will help you find pins that contain what you're searching for. So as you can see here, carbon fiber vinyl is found in the description of each of these pins. I could obviously go through and be repinning stuff like this, but if I look down below each of the pins, this little box here relates to the board that it is posted on. Here's a good example. Sophia Yu. Same person here, but these two pins are actually on different boards. This one is in graffiti car stickers, and this one is just in one called car stickers. So these are two completely different boards that I could follow. Now right here, this very first one, this is obviously something highly relational to what I'm doing. Carbon fiber wraps by TechnoSigns. So I could go to their board and I can follow their board. I can also go back a step. Over on the left, if you're on a board, you'll see the person's Pinterest username. And then if you click on that, you'll get to a page that has all of their boards. And you can easily click on follow all to follow all of their different boards if you would like to. So just there, I have followed 9 different boards in pretty much no time at all. So I can proceed through and find even more boards to follow using that same method. Now, in addition to searching the actual pin descriptions for keywords, you can also search other things like the people that are actually pinning them. Now, this one doesn't have any results because I'm a little bit too specific here with carbon fiber vinyl, but I bet if I were to change it to just carbon fiber, perhaps, there we go, I actually do find that there are some users that have the words carbon fiber in them. So I can simply follow those users with this particular method. Now, you can do the same thing with boards. Try to find boards that relate to that keyword phrase. So you can go through and again follow all of these different boards that relate to your topic. Now, some of these that I'm pulling up here on my screen, they may be carbon fiber stuff, very specific. Some of them, might be for phones or for bicycles or, carbon fiber skis, for example. But ultimately, they could all potentially be interested in what I'm doing, and their followers might also be potentially interested in what I'm doing. So just like with Twitter, you want to do the same thing here with Pinterest again, and get yourself networked up with all of these different relational Pinterest accounts. And this is how you can go about doing that in a fairly timely manner. Now, it's a lot easier to find and follow people and boards right here than it is to follow boards by searching for pins. Because if I'm searching for pins, I have to open up the actual board page to be able to follow it. Whereas if I'm just searching for boards, all I have to do is just go through and click a bunch of follow buttons. However, you'll probably find, especially if you're really specific with your keyword phrase that you're searching, you may find that there aren't a lot of pinners and boards that use that particular keyword. So you may have to get a little bit more general with your keyword like I did, changing carbon fiber vinyl to carbon fiber. You can also try to go for some of the suggestions that Pinterest will give you up here. But ultimately, you'll probably reach a point if you're still trying to find more people where you end up wanting to search the pins, because you'll find boards and people that you won't find using these other two methods, simply because if the person's name and the board name, if they don't contain what you're searching for, then they're not going to show up in the boards and in the pinners list. They're only going to be in the pins because you'll be finding the actual pins that these people have created. So the only way you're going to run into them again is by searching for the actual pins. Now continue through this process with your own account to try to find all of these relational accounts that you can follow. And in turn, you'll be generating all of those email notifications that I was talking to you about. Now I just went through and followed 72 different boards and other accounts while I was talking to you, and it really didn't take me that long. And unless one of you guys watching this particular, nope, that's not one of my trainees. So I believe this would be one of the 72 people that I followed has already come back and followed my account now as a result. So just like it worked out on Twitter, do the same thing here on Pinterest to build up your account to find all those people that can end up following you and may also share your content for you. Now the next class is going to be getting into more of the automated side of Pinterest, and I'll be getting into a couple of slightly more advanced topics, going into some of the finer details here. But at least for now, I wanted to go ahead and show you how to create a manual pin on Pinterest, because you should run into some situations where you want to create a pin about something and maybe it's not a post that is on your site. Or in your current situation, you may already have a bunch of content that you've built on your website. Pinterest is not chronologically based like Twitter is. So in that regard, I find a lot more value in going back through and pinning all of your old posts on Pinterest more so than I would say you need to make a tweet about that post. In fact, some people will tweet about the same post over and over again simply because if you tweet about something and it doesn't get read within a fairly short period of time, you know, if most of the people following you are following a bunch of other people, then your tweet simply disappears off the list and may never be seen again. But on Pinterest, your pins are hanging around and they will be seen months and even years down the road. So for that reason, I do recommend going back through your site and pinning all of your existing posts that you may have already created on the site. So to do this, just go to your profile page to start with. Then you can go into a particular board or even just click on the pin tab right here and click on Add a Pin. Now when you go to add a pin, it gives you some options. You can find something off of Pinterest, you can upload a picture off of your computer, or you can add a pin from the web. So this is obviously the choice that we want to go for here. Then we have nothing but a URL box for us. So this simply wants the website address of a page off of our site. So I could go and pick, I'll pick one of my advertisements over here. And I'll copy the link from this particular post. And then I take this back over to Pinterest and simply paste into the box. Now, all I need to do is click on Next. And this is going to pull up images for me off of the page on my site. And I can simply choose which one to pin. If I had multiple images, I could even go through and create multiple pins from that one address. So now I can pick a board, or I can even create a new board, perhaps, and then write a description for it. Now when I click on Pin It, if I go back through and go to my board and look for the pin that I have created, you can see that on this particular page, people have the option to repin my pin. They can also like my pin, share it with, their Facebook friends, or send it to another Pinterest user. But they can also visit my website really easily by simply clicking on the Visit Site button. And then they're taken back to that same page on my website. Now you can also put the link to the site in the description. Okay, Terry, sorry about that. Not quite sure why it would be doing that. Hopefully everything is recording correctly at least though. And yeah, I'll be rerunning tomorrow at 1 p.m. So some people choose to put the link in their actual description, like at the end of it, for example. And they will turn into clickable links, so people can visit your website by just clicking on that. However, with longer URLs potentially for various posts on your site, it may not make sense to put that in the end. You may just want to put potentially a link to your home page at the end of each of your posts that you're creating. Now you can also get to your site by clicking on Found on carbonfanatic.com right here. As you can see in the bottom corner, this links up to the exact same page on the site as well. So simply go back through your existing content on your website and create a pin for each of your posts that you already have. So after you've gone through and set up your Pinterest account, got all of your settings set up and created your boards, then this is what I would recommend for you to do over the course of the next couple weeks while you wait on the solution to automate your future posts. Now, that may seem to be a little on the time-consuming side to go through your various posts on your website and pin them to your Pinterest account that way. You don't necessarily have to use that exact method that I just showed you. You can quite possibly do all of this directly from your website. If you are using the Share This option and you have this showing up on your site, if you hover over it, you'll see you have options here for sharing this on various social networks, and Pinterest is one of them. So if you simply browse through the various posts on your site and go to share it, click on Pinterest, then it will automatically populate everything for you. You can see I'm actually on the Pinterest website now. So this is a page just like what I was seeing before. The big difference though is that the description is automatically populated for me here. Whereas using the other method, I have to go through and write my own description for each pin. Now this description, this is a description that you wrote yourself. If your post, gets the automated Facebook post made for it to your Facebook fan page, that description that you wrote in the social network listings, that is also going to be used for your Pinterest description when people go through and share your pin this way. So simply keep that in mind when this description gets populated. You know that's where it's coming from, but you can still go through and customize this if needed. Add a link to your site. You can say pinned by, carbonfanatic.com here, for example. Now I'm not going to post this particular one because I already did that one manually just a few minutes ago. But you can see how that can potentially be a lot faster to simply browse through all the different posts on your site. You can use your navigation links down at the bottom to flip to the various posts that you have and easily share them over on Pinterest. So using this method, it really doesn't take too horribly long to go through all the posts that may already exist on your site and get them connected up with your Pinterest account. That way, your brand new Pinterest account, if you actually have, had the site built and have been working on it this whole time, you can easily have 30, 60, maybe even as many as 90 posts or so on your site by this point. So this can give you a lot of initial Pinterest content to start out with, and it really doesn't require a lot of effort to get it up there either. Now again, with the next class, we will be continuing on with Pinterest, and it will be actually the final social networking lesson of this entire series. We will be automating our Pinterest pins directly from our WordPress site, and then we're going to also do a couple of slightly more advanced topics and integrate a follow on Pinterest button into our site, so then we have all of our various social networks connected up here.